Yo, what's happening, fellas? There's a fair bit going on in the UFC. There's been some big fight news that's dropped. And in today's video, I'm just going to walk you through some of those fights and give you my early thoughts. And yeah, there's so much UFC news that I just didn't even know where to start. So why not just start at the start and just start going through some of the fights? Because that's what we're all here for, right? Just the fights. So sick that we've got some actual good fights being announced. Praying to the MMA gods that we actually keep them together and then we get to see them. And yeah, I'm hyped. So I think as a UFC fan, it's going to be good to get paid back for some of the shit months we've had towards the start of this year and in the last couple of years in general. And we deserve a couple of big months of fights. So I'm stoked to see what the UFC is cooking up. Dana, we might not oil him up just yet, but I don't actually think it is Dana making these big calls anymore based on how enthusiastic he's been lately announcing them. So shout out to Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby or whoever owns the UFC and TKO for actually putting some sick fights together. So let's get started, eh? So Imavov versus Baralho is the next card coming up. I've obviously talked at length about that card and I've done a whole other video about that one. Go check it out if you haven't already. I'm leaning to Baralho, but you'll see as a bit of a common thread throughout my predictions in this, or my early predictions here, is that my heart will say one thing and my head will say another. So there's a fair few fights that are a bit like that, and I think Imavov versus Baralho is one of them. Go watch that other video if you want to know, but I'm leaning to Caio Baralho. That's a pretty sick card too. I won't go through that one, but we've got Lopes versus Silva. Now, we did get a little bit ripped off with UFC Noche. Obviously, they put on the Sphere last year and that was insane, but I think their budget for UFC Noche must have run out because we couldn't even get a pay-per-view out of it this year. They've moved it to a fight night, but credit, they put on a pretty sick main event. We did want, like, the real fight that we want to see is Diego Lopes versus Yair Rodriguez. Coulon. Like, see those two going at each other. That'll be sick. But yeah, in the meantime, we get Lopes versus Silva, and that's going to be a banger. I'm keen as for that fight. I'm leaning towards John Silva. I just think he's unstoppable at the moment. But Diego Lopes is going to have a bit of a reach advantage and a bit of a height advantage too, I think. And he's also got a bit of dog, and he proved that against Volk. So that should be a really good fight. Early lean, though, is with John Silva. Nothing much else on that card. I think Rob Font versus Raul Rusas Chiwiwis has fallen out. Rafa Garcia versus Jared Gordon. Yeah, not the most stacked card, but wait till you see what the UFC's been cooking up in October. So what do we got next? We got Ulberg versus Reyes in my backyard, boys, in Australia. A lot of people are kind of reckon that card looks like shit. It's not the most stacked card in the world, but as an Aussie MMA fan, I reckon it's pretty decent. It should be a good night. The Perth crowd's always sick. So Ulberg versus Reyes. I don't actually think Ulberg is Australian. I think he might be Kiwi, but here we are. Yeah, New Zealand. So anyway, he's from the home turf. Kiwis are one of us. So yeah, man, we're all backing Ulberg for that one. CKB dude, he seems like a decent fighter. He's sort of hasn't. I don't think we've seen the best of him in the UFC yet, but maybe this will be a moment that defines his career. His first, I don't think it's his first main event. I think maybe his fight against Blachowicz was a main event. Could be wrong there. But yeah, so he's coming off. He's on a big win streak. Ulberg, he's looked kind of unstoppable. Whether or not you think he won that Blachowicz fight, he definitely looked like he belonged in the cage with Big Yarn. Yeah, it should be a sick fight. Reyes is on a little decent run himself, but do I really see him completing that run? Look, I like Dominic Reyes. I think he's a good dude. I think maybe he falls flat against Ulberg in this one, but it should be a good fight. That card's got a few other sick fights. Nothing too crazy jumping off the page in terms of like names and star power, but mate, it's going to be an Aussie fight card with pretty much all the best Aussie UFC prospects outside, obviously, of the huge ones, which is the champs. Like we got Vulcan and JDM, and I obviously they had decided that this was going to be a fight night card, so we were never getting JDM or Volk as a headline of a fight night. So I'm pretty satisfied with what we do have in the end here. We got Jack Jenkins making a comeback. Junior Tafa, he needs to get a bit of a crack on. He's looked like shit. Jimmy Crute making a bit of a comeback. Jake Matthews, he's sick. Tom Nolan, I'm pretty high on him. Navajo Sterling looked good in his last one. Luma Lookboom, she's always decent, a women's MMA fighter. Yeah, Jonathan McAuliffe, I don't mind him. Oban's on there. Colby Thickness, Jamie Malaki. Yeah, it's just all the boys, bro. Like, this is an Aussie fight night low-key banger, eh? Like, I reckon I'm pumped for this card. This should be good. Yeah, Aussie. Let's go. Next card is Ankalaev Pereira 2. So this is the start of the October run of fights, which is just bananas. Like could possibly be one of the best single calendar months of UFC we have ever had. So if it stays together, like, please stay together. We're in for a treat here, boys. So yeah, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. I like both of these dudes. Obviously, I wanted Pereira to win their first fight, and I went with my heart on that one, and unfortunately didn't get it. But I don't hate Magomed, bro. I actually reckon he's a pretty decent, entertaining fighter. He gets a bit of a bad rap for being daggy and having a couple of stinky performances, and that draw didn't do him any favours when he first got his first title shot. But nah, man, there's way less entertaining and way shitter fighters than Big Ank. So I'm pretty pumped for this fight as well. And Pereira, he's the man. He's him, and I'm stoked every time he jumps in the cage. But I don't know, man. I think Magomed has proven he proved in that last fight to be the more technical and the more well-rounded fighter. So I reckon Poltan's going to come in hopefully with a bit of a different game plan and maybe looking to kill or be killed. He was lacking that a bit in their first fight, and that's what sort of was his undoing. So if Poltan comes in and just commits to getting chinned or chinning, I think you'll have a pretty good chance, because I reckon he could have landed on Ankalaev in their first fight. Ank was being pretty tight and technical, and he did outclass Pereira on the feet, but I just feel like that feeling of the takedown threat and sort of Pereira not wanting to lose more so than wanting to win was why we saw the performance we got from Alex in the last fight. I'm pumped for that fight too. Like, all these fights are going to be sick. So that card is looking decent, but not the strongest. Actually, no, this card is pretty sick. This has got Merab versus Cory on it, as well as the co-main. I'm just seeing this as a Merab win, boys. I reckon Sandhagen is decent. I like him. He's technical. He's got he's rangy. He's got good control of his range, and he's good at establishing the distance. And we've shown he's possible of pulling some pretty explosive moves out. But I think it's going to be similar as he'll be feeling this very similar way to how Alex Pereira will be feeling, or maybe even felt in that first fight with Big Ank. Just really stressed out about the takedown and struggling to commit to anything, knowing that in the back of his mind the takedown will be there. And I feel like that's where Sandhagen's going to be. He's wrestling, while it has improved, it's not improved to Merab's level. I don't think. It's Sandhagen had a bad loss to Umar, where he just got mogged in the wrestling, and he did mog fucking Rob Font in the wrestling, but who's better, Rob Font or Merab? Exactly. So, and who can wrestle better out of Rob Font and Merab? And then basically, if this MMA math is adding up, who out-wrestled Sandhagen? Umar did. And who out-wrestled and fucked up and broke and destroyed Umar in a close fight, but still broke him? Merab did. So Merabi's got this one in the bag, I reckon. I can't see him submitting Sandhagen. I reckon he probably will find himself on Sandhagen's back, probably unable to do the backpack job on him that Aljo did. But I reckon we'll have Merab ragdolling him and put him in a crucifix and, going for submissions and just keeping Cory on the defensive and, having a somewhat of a Hamzat versus DDP type performance is what I'm expecting from Merab there. So sick fight, but that's just like those two fights there sell the card. Yuri versus Khalil is just the icing on the cake. Yuri is probably one of my favourite fighters. Probably, top 3, I reckon, just in terms of he's a mad dog. He's explosive and he's wild and he's got the power to destroy Khalil. Khalil is technical and he also proved that he's got some power as well, but I just see Yuri getting this one done. Josh Emmett, Yusuf Salal, that's a sick fight too. Abbas versus Joe Pyfer at the moment opening the card. Can't see that being a shit fight. I reckon Joe Pyfer gets that one done, but that's a pretty stacked looking card. I don't mind that at all. Then we go. Then the next weekend. So that's only the first card in October. The next weekend we go to Oliveira versus Fiziev in Brazil. Another hectic fight. Like that's going to be. I'm a little bit worried that that's going to be Charlie Olive's retirement fight, Because if you think about it, Olives is just coming off his worst knockout kind of ever, and he got done bad in that one. And really, how's this story going to play out? Is this the time that? Well, what outcome to you seems more likely? Is it Oliveira to have his downfall, kind of his stocks continue just to drift down like this, and we get a couple of solid last few, maybe one last big retirement moment from Oliveira, and he might get a win, or he gets knocked out again or something, and then he continues to sort of fade off and into retirement. Or the other outcome is Oliveira storms the fort, knocks out Fiziev, calls out Ilya, books a fight with Ilya in the next year and reclaims his title. I just don't see that happening, dude. I think he's had his time in the sun. He's had his moment. De Bronx has told his story. He's forged his legacy, but I don't really see another run for Charlie Olives. I think Fiziev, even if he does beat Fiziev, I still believe that Charles will maybe have one more fight and retire. I don't think he's the man anymore. And Fiziev, I don't think is the man either. But I think Fiziev has shown in his last few fights that he's improving. He's on the up. His career's on the upslope. He's looking decent. He had a good win over Ignacio Hernandez, I reckon it might have been. Yep. Schooled him up, made him look like he didn't belong in there with him. So, yeah, I can see this one going to Fiziev. That Brazil card is not looking the best, but we got a good co-main, Figgy versus Montel Jackson. Figgy, another one of my favourite fighters ever, but I'm a bit worried for him in that one too. Yeah, that card's looking decent. Maybe they can add one more good one to that, but I mean, that's probably easily the worst card in October, and it's headlined by Charles Oliveira, and it's got Figgy on it, so no complaints there whatsoever. RDR versus Fluffy is the next weekend. Like one of the most hyped fights of the year, and probably will honestly end up being the number one contender fight at middleweight. I've got a soft spot for RDR as well, bro, because quick story, I had a mad win, my best ever win on a multi, just from UFC punting ever, and it was decent. It was a solid one. And my last leg was RDR to beat Whittaker, and it was close, but he got it done, man. And like, I already liked RDR. He's active. He's Dutch. He's a boss. He's like, he's a hectic dude, and he just seems like a chill guy as well. And just comes in and whoops ass and gets paid and gets the fuck out of there. So I'm big on RDR. He deserves this shot. He's been so active and looking decent, and he got rid of Bo Nickel for us. So got to give him his credit for that. But I don't know, man. Fluffy he's a bad man, and the way he just done Roman Dolidze, even though it's Roman Dolidze, he done him bad, dude. And it's not the first person he's done bad in the UFC. Like, we're talking, he's coming off beating Dolidze, making him like schooling him, beat Brendan Allen, beat Michel Pereira, who is still a bad man, and made him look like he did not belong in the UFC, and beat Roman Kopylov, who's been looking pretty decent, and beat Edmund Shabazian. So, like, even though they're not the best wins in terms of just straight resume and like name value, it's just the way that Fluffy's been doing people is why he's earned the legit respect of the fans, and why the fans are so high on him. And it's good to see him finally getting his appreciation and his deserved ranking. But that's going to be a hectic fight, dude. That's going to be a battle of hearts. I could see some bullshit happening where one of them flukes it early too, but I think 9 times out of 10 this fight plays out as a who's got the biggest dick contest, like who has the more heart, who is the man, and that's the type of fight we want to see as MMA fans. So I hope that one stays together, and early lean would probably be towards Fluffy, but head Fluffy, heart RDR. Kevin Holland versus Mike Malotz also on that card. Don't really give that much of a shit about Kevin Holland or Mike Malott. I'd probably early lean towards Malott. I thought they had Fiorot versus Jazz Davicius as a co-main on this one for a while, and then I think they've changed it. So respect to the UFC if they did. I still think that it's a fight night again in Canada. I still reckon that could use one more fight, but we've got a couple of other sleepers down the card like Marlon Vera, Eamon Zahabi should be a decent fight. Danny Barlow's coming back. Drew Dober, like him. Yeah, Bakoyev's pretty nasty. And yeah, so not a bad card. The Canadian cards can be hit or miss, but I reckon that should be a good one. So that's still cooking October. Then we've still got one more big pay-per-view. Yes, that's right. 2 pay-per-views, and they're both stacked. Well, we don't know how stacked fully Aspinall versus Gane is yet, but it is stacked. It's already there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 8 fights in. They've probably announced the biggest fights on that already, but it's already looking pretty tasty. It's got Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane main event. I can't believe Ciryl Gane is still getting the title shot. I legitimately reckon that Volkov should have just got the shot. 99% of UFC fans will tell you that Volkov beat Gane that second time. There was no question about it. He beat him. And Gane is coming off before that, like getting absolutely mogged and disintegrated by John Jones. Possibly paid off, not sure. But, just looking like absolute garbage. And, look, he's won, he's won 3 of his last 5, but I'll legit count that Volkov one as a loss. So he's won 2 of his last 5, with one of them being over Sergey Spivak. I forgot about Spivak. He did whoop him up. And Tai Tuivasa. Ciryl Gane, this is the thing about him versus Aspinall. On the feet, he absolutely belongs in there with Tom. Like, it's probably Tom's biggest test on the feet he's ever had in the UFC. I believe that Gane's striking is elite, and that's why he is the way he is, and he's got the physical attributes to stand and bang with Tom. But I think in terms of heart, in terms of deservedness, in terms of mongrel, intangibles, like all those things, Tom's got him covered. And Tom also has far better wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So I think that the majority of the times that this fight plays out, Tom should win. It depends if Tom makes a smart choice to take him down and gets a good entry as well. Because even though Ciryl is not that good on the ground, he's a big, strong, heavy unit who's been in the UFC and fought 8, 9 times or 5, 6, 7 times. And he's still going to be dangerous for Tom. So if Tom's smart and wrestles, it's Tom's fight to lose. But I'm pretty pumped for it still, even though it's not deserved. And I kind of think that even if Volkov got the shot, this is probably a more entertaining and fun fight, because I just think we've seen Volkov versus Aspinall before. Tommy destroyed him, so I guess it's worked out well. I still don't love the philosophy behind Ciryl getting this title shot, but hey, that's thanks to John Jones basically for fucking up the whole division for years. That card's also just had announced Werner Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. Dern doesn't really deserve that title fight. What is she coming off? 2 wins, one over Amanda Ribas, one over Lupita Godinez, who is decent, and that's a good win for her. Lost to Amanda Lemos and Andrade. And I suppose Andrade was a bit more in her prime when she beat Dern, but she fucking mollywhopped Dern. I remember that fight now, actually. She sat her on her ass and yes, just absolutely destroyed her. So I reckon Werner's got more go in there and look, deserves to be there. Has got more championship material than Dern. So when did I swear Werner and Mackenzie already fought, didn't they? I swear they did, but maybe it was ages ago. But I think Werner Jandiroba's got a win over her. I'm just going to go check her record. Werner Jandiroba fought. Yeah, she lost to Mackenzie Dern. So Mackenzie Dern had a decision win over Werner Jandiroba already. I thought it was the other way around. So I don't know why I'm going so deep into this fight, but I reckon this is Werner Jandiroba all the way. I don't reckon Mackenzie Dern deserves to be the champ, and I don't reckon she will be. Volkov versus Almeida. Now, this should be the co-main, but I'd probably have to put this one here because it's a title fight, even though it's a interim title fight that probably doesn't deserve to be there. Like, what's the go with this like new thing where they make the champs vacate their belt if they want to go up and fight? Like, it never used to happen like that. Now, Zhang Weili has gone up to fight Shevchenko, and they've made her vacate the belt like they did with Ilya. Like, and Makhachev. It's surprising. I like it. It's good for making more title fights, but it's inconsistent with what the UFC's done in the past. So maybe there are some things changing at the UFC. But yeah, the Volkov-Almeida fight should be the co-main, or it should be it's the number one contender fight at heavyweight. No question about it. And look, I think what the UFC is doing, we're very sorry for giving you Werner Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern as a co-main event. Here's 3 fights, or here's 6 massive fucking units going at it on the main card to start things off to make it worth paying for. Plus these 2 big units. Look at this card. It's heavyweight, obviously like piss weight, heavyweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight on the main card. Then there's still big boys down below too. Like you got Ikram versus Junyoung Park. Hamdi versus Chris Barnett probably doesn't belong on the main card, but I like Chris Barnett. Rakic versus Mirzakhanov. That's a banger. I got Rakic early on that one. Volkov Almeida. That's a sick fight. Oh, I see it going bad for Volkov, but man, I think Jalton Almeida is going to be able to just latch up something on those long legs or arms of Volkov. I think Volkov's doesn't really have a chance in the grappling against Almeida, and what's Almeida going to do? He's not going to stand and box with Volkov. He's seen how that worked for Sergey Pavlovich, and it didn't go well. Another banger card, bro. What a finish to October. Please let all these fights stay together. And then just to cap things off, like 2 weeks later, maybe 3, I think it's 3 weeks later, Della is taking on Islam Makhachev for the welterweight strap. Boys, I'm going to probably talk about this fight a lot in the upcoming months, but it's what dreams are made of, boys. It's not quite Ilya versus Makhachev, but it's like if we go shopping and you're going, Mum, can we please have Ilya versus Makhachev? And Mum goes, we've got it at home, and you get home and this is what you get. So, but you're still stoked if you got this. It's a hell of a fight, man. Like if you're kind of thinking about it in terms of like a legacy and a stakes type of fight, it's probably the greatest. Like pushing for like the greatest legitimate MMA UFC fighter of all time in Islam. He's starting to creep up everyone's GOAT list, and he's making himself undeniable. Versus, and look, Islam's known for his grappling, so you'd say even though he's contending to be one of the best UFC fighters of all time, he's fairly clearly like the best UFC wrestler of all time. You could probably argue with that to some extent, like with Hamzat and with maybe like Khabib, but I think he's better than Khabib. I think that's pretty accepted these days. So like one of the top 5 grapplers ever versus JDM, who's I reckon he's I'm not saying this, but he's pushing. If he keeps going the way he's going and he keeps looking how he's looking and he keeps just showing up and taking people's heads off with the clean striking he's got, he could be one of the top 5 best strikers ever in the UFC. So this might be one of those fights that we look back at and go, bro, we actually got this fight. We're so lucky, like a Volk Islam type of fight, or one of those just epic fights. Like we a lot of them get away from us, like the Jones and Ngannou and the Ilya Makhachev. So we're going to lock this one down and get it done while we can. I'm glad the UFC's signed it. Look, there'll be a lot of research and a lot of kind of talk going into this fight. I got to say, as an Aussie MMA fan and as a big fan of Della and like such a big fan of the style that he fights with and how much I agree with it, I'm worried for him. I am very worried because Islam, those daggies are built different, dude, and Islam's been training his whole life for this, and this is his moment. This, like I can way more easily see Della being a victim of Islam's legendary career than Islam being a record of a part of Della's record. That's a confusing way to say, like, the storyline and the plot leans towards Islam in this fight, I think, and just stylistically, I think Islam is a very tough matchup for Della too. We saw him struggle in the wrestling against Gilbert Burns, and I thought, like he was about to lose that fight before he came back and did what he did. Yes, he was looking better on the feet than Burns, and he looked in control of the fight, but Burns exposed his wrestling a little bit more than people kind of give credit to, I reckon. So if Gilbert Burns, it was probably a prime Gilbert Burns or close to prime Gilbert Burns. If Burns can take you down and limit your options on the ground, then Islam can do it. And even though Islam's coming up from lightweight, he's always looked like a welterweight. He's always walked around something massive, Islam. Like he walks around like a friggin' light heavyweight or something. He's not going to be small in this fight. Della might have a bit of reach or a bit of height on him, but Islam is a big dude, and he fills up. He will fill into welterweight, I reckon, really well. So, yeah, I'm scared for Della. I reckon Della might get done in this one, but I don't know. It's a long way away, this one, and let's hope it stays together. So, yeah, that's pretty much like that fight. Look, they're going to have probably a pretty solid card there. Shevchenko versus Weili as the co-main. It's sick. It's probably the best women's fight you can put together in the current state of it. Like, I'm a big Nunes fan, and I reckon Nunes versus Kayla Harrison's going to be pretty sick as well. But in terms of like women's MMA skill for skill and pound for pound sort of legacy based fights, this is the pinnacle of it. This is Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. Now, I reckon we're getting probably, especially Valentina, but probably both of them, we're getting them a little bit past their primes. Weili actually might still be just gutted for another 5 years, but I reckon Shevchenko's definitely past her UFC prime. Still fucking awesome fighter, and she would whoop up probably most of the top 10 at flyweight and strawweight. But I reckon Zhang Weili is a bit more on the up and could get this one done just through mongrel. And you saw the kind of Valentina get in trouble when Alexa Grasso gave her a bit of resistance, and I can see Weili giving her plenty of resistance in this fight. So could be an all-time 5-round like Weili versus Joanna kind of war. But I can sort of see Weili getting a finish in this one too. Like, I reckon she's got options in this fight. Should be a good fight, but that'll be a hype ass main card. Like, and if this fight stays on there too with Leon versus Carlos Prates, we all love watching CP fight. That is, dude, Carlos Prates. I fucking hope he sends Leon to the shadow realm. Like, Leon's been overdue for a knockout and for an ass whipping. It's good to see him get done dirty by Brady, but Leon has been asking for a chitin for a long time, like almost to the point where I was like kind of going for Kamaru Usman in the second fight. So yeah, Leon's got his work cut out in this fight. I could see Leon winning though. I could definitely see Leon, like, because he hasn't got the wrestling threat really from Prates, he will be a lot more comfortable just striking, and you'll see him open up a bit. And Leon has got nasty hands, and he's a good technical kickboxer, and he might prove that because Prates will just be looking to kickbox, we might see that Leon just puts some class on him, and that Prates has sort of been overhyped and too busy smoking durries and whatnot. But bro, I think the whole UFC world will be cheering for Prates and hoping for him to do what he did to Jeff Neal. Now, Jeff Neal's he's a better dude, I reckon, than Leon, so it would have been good to see Leon get spin and KO'd and Jeff Neal just get boxed up at range. But yeah, that's a good fight too. Hope that stays on the card. I'll be leaning early Prates, I reckon. And that'll just about do it for the reactions. There was one other mad fight that I wanted to show you. It's not that one. Oh, yeah, this is the biggest fight of all, the one that's about to be shown on the screen. That would have to be T-Ferg versus Canelo, bro. That's just been officially signed as of Show Me the Money podcast. Yeah, like T-Ferg coming off his outstanding, skillful defeat of Salt Puppy, and like people forget, man. Like Salt Puppy he's a huge, crazy name in the world of boxing, and T-Ferg just made him look like absolute pus and whooped him up. So I feel like this fight was signed before they even got out of the ropes. I'm surprised Canelo didn't come up and face off with him. But yeah, in all seriousness, respect to T-Ferg for getting a win. It was good to see. All right, man, that's about it. There's some sick fights coming up in the UFC. Good to see. Hope they all stay together. October's going to be insane, and I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the fight. So like and subscribe. Tell us which fights you're looking forward to the most down in the comments. Tell us which card you reckon is going to be the best, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Punch on.